Now that Christmas is fast approaching, is it wrong to talk about a book I intended to read for Halloween? Yay, you made it! I've been waiting for you. Hello, my name is Floss. This is the Grape Jelly Library, where we love to talk about books. Thank you for joining me. I always look forward to your visit. Today we are talking about Stephen King's novel. Is it a novel? Misery. I never saw the movie. I never read this book before. I am new to Stephen King. I have only ever read 2 of his books. I jumped right in for the first book and read it. And then I read Holly. And let me get comfortable here. I'm told that Holly is a character in many of his books, but I've yet to find that out. As I said, I probably should have read other books before I read that. But I guess a little disclaimer, I don't feel like I was out of the loop for not having read books with her in it. So, I guess take that for what it's worth if you plan on reading any Stephen King, if you are like myself and new to him. But anyways, I wanted to read a book that was just going to knock my socks off. Was this it? Yes. Yes, it was. This is classified as a psychological horror thriller. And do I agree with that statement? Yes, I do. I do, because there were so many moments in this book where panic had set in within the character of Paul as well as within myself. And isn't that a great reading experience when you can actually read a book and become so one with that book that you are actually scared for that character in the book? I think I might have even yelled out a profanity or two because it was that intense. It's a great book. Now, I work with somebody who has seen this movie. And it's funny because I was carrying this book around with me, and the person that I work with had seen the movie but not read the book. And then other people would approach me and say, "Oh my goodness, you're reading Misery. Wait till you get to the part of so-and-so." And I'm like, don't tell me. I don't think they read the book. I think they saw the movie and they wanted to tell me. So here's the point that I'm going to make, or I'm trying to arrive at. When I would go to my friend in work and say, "I just got to the part of so-and-so," then she was like, "Wait, what?" And then I would say, okay, so now I'm at this part. And she would be like confused because she saw the movie, but she has no idea what I'm talking about. None of the things that I had mentioned to her were ringing a bell. And so then I finally Googled it. Is the book true to the movie? No. The book is more violent than the movie. So if you have only seen the movie, but horror is your sort of thing, maybe you want to read the book because it's a little bit of a different experience. And I found that interesting. So I think they tamed it down a little bit, for television, for the movies. Yeah. But so, you know what? I would say the better version of it because I read the book. So, okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it without trying to tell you a lot about it. So the main character's name is Paul, and Paul is a romance writer. And Paul one day decides to get in his car knowing that a snowstorm is approaching. But kind of you know, hoping for the best and taking his chances. So he sets out in his car. I believe he's going to a different state, maybe to unwind, that kind of thing. Well, he gets into a car accident, and it's a rather bad accident. Guess what? Annie Wilkes, she discovers Paul in a ditch in a dire condition. And the way that I say she finds Paul is like really no different than if you were walking down the street and there was like a $20 bill laying on the sidewalk. You just came upon it. You just encountered it. That's what happened basically with Annie and Paul. But the twist of that is Paul happens to be Annie's lucky penny, because Paul is her absolute favorite writer of all time. And Paul has written in a character, but had recently decided to kill that character off. That character happened to be Annie's favorite character, and she was not too happy about it. So she takes her lucky penny, Paul, home with her and holds him captive and forces him to write a book that is in agreement with her views. Bring this character back. So the interesting thing about this book is it's a story within a story. So there's definitely, a lot to follow. There's I don't think there's a chance of getting bored with this book or putting it down or not wanting to come back to it or having a hard time picking it up. I don't think that's a possibility. And that's coming from someone who doesn't typically read this type of book. I found myself wanting to find out what was going to happen to poor Paul. Poor Paul. There's a scene in this, well, not a scene, there's, a script in this book that... Well, several times I laughed, and it's not made to be funny. It's just the way that Stephen King weaves his words together that made me chuckle. But I think this is going to be a little bit of a spoiler, but I'll try not to give it away. There is a part in this book that I could visualize so clearly, and it has to do with a broken window and a stand-up ashtray. And it is the circumstances leading up to the events of the ashtray going through the window, and then what Annie does in return with this ashtray. That part made me chuckle. Thinking back, if I were to read that again, yeah, it would still make me chuckle because it's just something that I didn't expect. That's another thing that's great about this book is it has plenty of suspense. Things lurking and waiting around the corner that, what is going to happen next. It's a very, very gripping book, and I highly recommend this one. I'm going to give it 5 stars. And you know what? I'm 3 Stephen King books in, and so far I haven't given any Stephen King a 5-star. I'm going to give this one a 5-star, and I'm just going to say, will I watch the movie? For those of you who are curious, no, I won't watch the movie. The book was enough. Whatever you are reading, I hope you have a ball. Until we meet again, know that I love you. Don't let those bad days win. And when you dream, make sure you're dreaming big.